Welcome, this is Terry Kramer from Kramer Designs. This video was going to be focused on the V2 SnipePod and how it addresses your real-world hunting applications. So let's get into it. Starting out, this is a 27-inch V2 SnipePod. It is intended to fit people between about 5'6" and 5'11" in height. The legs snap together. This is Easton tent pole. Inside is a bungee cord. Easton tent pole is manufactured from 7075 aluminum. It is the strongest, toughest stuff that's been in the high-end tent industry for about the last 50 or 60 years. That's what I use for the legs. The top section of the SnipePod up here, where the legs join together, is CNC machined on a 6061 aircraft aluminum, and then each leg has a ball socket. The balls themselves are 416 stainless steel, and that kind of gives you an idea why this thing is so tough, so precise, and why it is so light. Now the V2, I'll put this guy on the scale real quick to give you an idea. I got a second camera here set up, and it tells me that bipod, the legs weigh 4.4 ounces. I haven't talked about this part yet, but we'll put that on the scale too. This is the mount on the rifle. .7 ounces. I'm going to slide over and we'll talk about that mount I just put on there. This is the standard mount. When you buy a V2 SnipePod, you get one of these with every purchase. It has 2 cap screws. Underneath the cap screws are split lock washers, and I'll tell you why that's important in a second. Then it has this hole, that's an elliptical shaped hole that is designed to fit the head of an industry standard QD stud. That's what most firearms come with, especially bolt action firearms. That's a QD stud. Up here, my mount's covered right now, is another QD stud. That is kind of what you're looking at on a QD stud. The mount goes over the top of that QD stud. There is a pin that it comes with, stainless steel, 5/8 of an inch long, 1/8 of an inch diameter. You drop it through my mount and the hole in the QD stud. It's basically rocking on that stainless steel double pin until you tighten these 2 cap screws down. Now it takes that clamp, and that clamp has a curved surface where it touches, and the curved surface perfectly mates with the 3/8 of an inch, or 375 thousandths diameter of the QD stud. Then the split lock washers do their thing, and they lock those caps so they can't come off. But the beauty is that you can take and undo this and move this mount from 1 to 1,000, 2,000, how many rifles you own. You can move it to other rifles, and it will repeat that locking capability because of those split lock washers. Okay, now let's go over to this rifle. Now you can see, there it is, the mount, over my QD stud. It's locked on, it becomes part of that. On the back end of it, there's a hole, and that hole is for reattaching your sling swivel right here. So my sling is back here, the swivel's up there. The other part up here, that blade with a hole in it, is for mating with the leg, the ball socket leg unit here of the bipod. So that would go right here and snap on, snap off. So let's talk about that in more detail. This 27-inch SnipePod, snap together. To attach it, there's a push-pull pin. When you pull the pin out, clears that slot. It goes on your rifle from either side. If you're a right-handed shooter or a left-handed shooter, lefties are using this thumb typically. It's ambidextrous. and non-discriminatory. It's just locked in place. Now, what I mean by locked in place is the head unit locks perpendicular to the mount. I still have the ball socket to play with, and there's that 85 degrees of the cone for the ball sockets to give you. That's really where the magic happens. That's where your height adjustment, your panning, and your all your movement capabilities all come out of that ball socket design. But I also have the ability to release that lock. I told you the lock, there's a button on the back and the front. It toggles forward and backwards. If I give you a closer look, you can see it right there and right there. And when I push that pin, it unlocks it so I can lay the V2 SnipePod back alongside of my firearm, where with one hand, I can easily manage both rifle and bipod or SnipePod together, and it frees up my left hand for doing more important things, in my case, binoculars, rangefinder, or holding my sandwich, or whatever. But it truly is a bipod. It's mechanically attached, and this gives me great control when I'm stalking and moving around the brush, and I can redeploy it, get it back in the shooting position that quickly. So from that to this, no noise, no time. Now when it's time to sit down to shoot, I get on the ground with my butt and I reach forward it with one hand, raise, lower this rifle. I can adjust for uneven terrain. So if I've got a hillside coming in, like a 35 or 40 degree angle, I can easily absorb that. You can place the legs in front or behind ground obstacles. You can see the ball sockets give you an incredible range of motion. And then the ball sockets also give the firearm horizontal, vertical, and canting capability. Now the ball sockets have a baseline tension to them. That is how and why I can pick up the rifle and the legs will stay right in the position they were at when they left the ground. Why that's important is, imagine say you're a coyote hunter and you're set up and you're calling and you got your rifle here at your side and you're calling, you're looking around, and all of a sudden 90 degrees to the side, you see a coyote come in. With one hand, I can reposition that gun. As soon as the feet touch the ground at whatever angle, I'm right back on top of that coyote. That capability is unparalleled in the industry. The other nice thing with that tension on the ball sockets, when I do shoot, well, first of all, I don't have to hang on to this thing. That's a huge advantage. It's not like a shooting stick where you're dedicating your left hand to either controlling it or being the joint between the shooting stick and the rifle. I don't need to touch it at all, so I always shoot with my left hand back towards the back of the rifle. Usually I like to place it into the ground so I can kind of pyramid my upper body with bone-to-bone structure so I can stabilize it. That's the real weakness in this equation, is still me on the back of the gun. But by not having to touch it, I'm basically free-floating the entire firearm in the same way that a gunsmith, when they build a gun, free-floats the barrel, so the barrel doesn't touch the stock at all inside. And why they do that is that when the gun recoils, and it takes about a millisecond plus for a bullet to go from 0 to 3,000 feet over 24 inches, that the barrel convulses consistently the same way because there's no external pressures on it. Take that same concept, apply it to your whole gun, and when I shoot back here and the gun recoils, and even if it comes off the ground, it comes back down, I know that as long as I don't touch the front of this gun, it will do that consistently the same, shot to shot to shot. So that's why I do it that way, and so it stays with the gun. The bipod does not disconnect. My recoil recovery time, because of the dynamic panning ability in here, is basically 0. So if I need a second shot, as soon as the feet touch the ground and I rechamber a rifle with my bolt, I can track the animal if it moves off of the original target spot, and as soon as it stops, squeeze another shot off. So no bipod in the market has that kind of recoil recovery time like a SnipePod does. That's a very, very important thing to consider when you're buying a bipod. So now with that said, let's talk about how you pack this thing. The first thing I'm going to do is, when it's all folded up, you've got choices. You can put it in a pocket. I mean, it's small, it's lightweight. I used to always have a pair of, my BDUs, like my one-rate pants, would have a pocket there, I slide it in there, or you can slide it in your vest, wherever you want. We also have a holster. This is the holster. On the top of the holster is this aluminum component that has a blade sticking out that mates with the slot, just like the mount did. And I can just snap it in so it's mechanically attached, pull the roof over, shut the barn doors, clip it together, and there is the holster. It has two strap mechanisms back here. One, so I can attach it to a horizontal strap, like a belt or a pack strap, like a backpack strap. Or with the black attachment, you do this, and now you can put it on a vertical strap, like a backpack strap, which goes across your shoulder, so you can have it sitting right here. So those are some options for storing it. The last one I'm going to talk about is, I call it the Harris position, and usually the people that do it this way have come from the more traditional bipod world, the Harris bipods and Caldwells and Spartans and those kind of things, and they think that they want that thing stored in the front of their gun. So I give them the ability to break it down, and then this is that same 27-inch bipod with the legs shortened. You can see it's about the perfect height for shooting prone. So that's the way you'd use it. If this is the only bipod you have with you when you're in the field, and you need a prone opportunity presents itself, this is what you have to do. Or for 2 ounces, you just have a prone bipod. But we're going to talk about that storage location. Press that button, bring it forward. It lays underneath the barrel. It comes with this little lanyard. And you take this lanyard, slip it over the barrel, pull the legs together, tighten it, clip it, and this is how you would pack it if you think that's where you want to store it. If you want it in front of your gun, you can have it in front of your gun. I don't do this for obvious reasons. I pack really light rifles. Like my favorite elk rifle is 7-pound Christensen Arms, carbon fiber barrel, super lightweight gun. And I don't want anything on the front. If I'm going through timber, I don't want to snag up on this stuff. And if I'm hunting out of a horseback, I want my rifle to slide in my horse scabbard with zero interference, go in my gun cases, go in my gun vault. So to me, this is the worst place to store any kind of weight, because it's got a leverage advantage because your hands are back here, so it makes your gun unbalanced. It's not my thing. But if it is, have at it. So I prefer holster or just stick it in the pocket. Now the next thing I wanted to show you before I get off topic here, this is the Picatinny rail version of that, the mount. And what does that thing come in at? 0.2 of an ounce. That is what you see on the front of this AR, that mount. So that's a Picatinny rail. So I've got both the rail and a QD stud, which covers most of the guns. And now, kind of wrapping this whole thing up, I'm going to just show you a glimpse into my next video topic, and that is bipods. This again is a 27-inch City SnipePod, which I've been handling down here. I have a third leg for the V2 City SnipePod. It's called a 3L. You can get it the same leg length, and on top there's a blade that mates with that same slot that the mount of the rifle mated with. So I attach this thing with a push that pin, and you'll notice that there's a little bit of play between the two assemblies until you tighten this thumb screw down, and that locks it all together. And now I've got a tripod with ball socket so I can independently place the legs where I need to place them, and just wrap this right around my body till my binoculars are right at the tip of my nose, and it's very comfortable. And the more comfortable you are, the longer and more productive you will be with your glassing. Up on top, this part is the new nano head. I just left this on, but I'll go into more detail in the next video. You got two different choices there, but it's got horizontal and vertical panning. And up on top there, I'm going to put binocular tower, optics balance adjuster. This is a pair of 1145 Mavens. And this is just to kind of get you a little sample of what you're going to see in the next video. So this whole assembly with the nano head comes in just over 10 ounces. So it is not, it's actually probably most likely that a customer that comes to me and they've got a carbon fiber tripod for their binoculars and spotting scope and some kind of competitor's bipod, for me to take 3 to 4 or more pounds out of their pack system. So with that, I think I pretty much covered everything I got on the table. So I am going to sign off. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Cheers.